The first synthetic cell, instead of having a genetic relative that it evolved from, the parent of this cell is a computer.
In 2023, scientists successfully created the first synthetic human, and it's one of the creepiest things you've ever seen.
We can put them in these conditions and they self-organize alone over 8 days into a whole embryo.
Follow us through the mind-bending journey of how they did it, and other disturbing findings made in recent times. These are the 20 strangest things recently discovered. Number 20. Pig-to-human organ transplant. In January 2022, surgeons at the University of Maryland Medical School in Baltimore recorded a groundbreaking achievement by performing the first successful pig-to-human transplant on a living patient. For many years, medical researchers have worked long and hard to create a better alternative for the thousands of people waiting for an organ transplant. In the United States alone, over 100,000 people are currently on the wait list for an organ transplant, which is quite a staggering figure. Because of this, scientists have been experimenting with xenotransplantation, which involves the transplanting of other species' organs into humans. This might just be the breakthrough everyone has been waiting for. The surgery was the second recorded attempt at such a procedure, and the results were pretty impressive. 58-year-old Lawrence Fawcett was the test subject for the highly experimental procedure under a compassionate use pathway, which permits unauthorized therapy when a person is seriously ill or at the risk of death. But after receiving the heart of a genetically modified pig, he miraculously recovered and proceeded to physical therapy. He was able to live for nearly 6 more weeks after that before he began to show signs of organ rejection, and he eventually died. Although he didn't live for very long after the transplant, Fawcett's story has inspired deeper studies and more innovations. Maybe someday, we could perfect the genetic modification of these donor animals and save the lives of thousands of patients that are waiting for a miracle. Number 19. Africa's oldest dinosaur. In 2017, a group of scientists were exploring the Zambezi Valley when they stumbled upon something quite strange. It was the remains of a dinosaur, but not like anything they had ever seen. Even with their extensive knowledge, these researchers couldn't identify what kind of dinosaur the skeleton belonged to, which meant that it was probably a new species. It was called the Embryosaurus rothii, a small dinosaur which stood at just 1 meter tall, ran on 2 legs, and had a long neck and jagged teeth. During its lifetime, this ancient creature inhabited the region now known as Zimbabwe, some 230 million years ago. By studying the remains, scientists were able to identify the dinosaur as part of a species known as sauropodomorph. After conducting carbon dating analysis on the skeleton was found to be over 200 million years old, making it the oldest dinosaur fossil ever found in Africa. At the time, though, Africa didn't quite exist yet, as the entire planet was just one massive block of land known as the supercontinent Pangaea. Today, the near-complete skeleton of the Embryosaurus rothii continues to rest in a museum located in Zimbabwe's southern city of Bulawayo, and remains one of the strangest discoveries made in recent times. However, it's not the strangest on this list. Stick around to find out how scientists have been able to create an entire human from scratch. Number 18. The most complete baby woolly mammoth. Miners working in the Klondike gold fields of far north Canada in 2022 stumbled upon an extremely rare discovery, the well-preserved remains of a baby woolly mammoth. This incredible discovery was made by paleontologist Grant Zazula and his team during excavation through permafrost south of Dawson in the Yukon Territory of Canada, and it's nothing short of amazing. When it was found, the creature still retained its skin, and it looked more like a recently deceased animal than an ancient creature. According to findings, the mammoth is said to be female and is believed to have died some 30,000 years ago at the height of the Ice Age. This was a time when woolly mammoths roamed freely alongside wild horses, giant steppe bison, and cave lions. Zazula also revealed that the animal, which was named Nunchoga by the indigenous people, was just a month old when she died, which was most likely after getting stuck in the mud. This was the first time a near-complete and best-preserved mummified woolly mammoth would be found within the North African region, and it could help broaden our understanding of these extinct animals. Number 17. Microplastics in human blood. Plastic pollution is currently one of the biggest threats to our ecosystem, and it has infiltrated every single corner of our planet. From the heights of Everest to the depths of the Mariana Trench, microplastics have been detected in several species, and now humans seem to be next on the list. According to a study made in 2022, this same microplastic pollution has found its way into the human blood, and it could slowly be causing untold damage to the body. This discovery also revealed that particles can travel around the body and even become lodged in organs. However, scientists have not yet determined the specific health implications of the pollution. However, this doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential to damage the human body. Scientists have already established that microplastics are capable of causing damage to human cells, so it's safe to say that this should be a really worrying situation. But how do microplastics get into our system? First, we consume them in our foods, our water, and even the air we breathe. At least 22 blood samples from healthy individuals were tested, and 17 of them were found with plastic particles. Analysis of some of these particles revealed that at least half of them were PET plastic, which is commonly used in bottled drinks and other food packaging. Even babies have been found with microplastics in their system, which makes the whole situation even more worrisome. Thankfully, this discovery has inspired action from governments and stakeholders, and maybe one day, we could clean up and world and make this planet habitable for the next generation. Number 16. Largest animal to ever live. Away from the doom and gloom, though, researchers have also discovered what could potentially be the largest animal to have ever lived on our planet. While exploring the regions of southern Peru in 2023, paleontologist Eli Amson found these massive vertebrae and ribs, which is believed to have belonged to an extinct species of whales known as Perricitus colossus. According to scientists, the whale must have weighed up to 340 metric tons, which is many times heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747 aeroplane. With this new record, Perricitus colossus has outweighed the blue whales, which used to be the world's heaviest animals to ever exist. To give you a perspective of how much these things weighed, a single vertebrate alone weighed more than 220 pounds, and it required the efforts of several people to transport it to the lab. Now imagine what the whole animal of this species would have looked like. However, there are few scientists who believe that the animal didn't weigh as much as advertised. And this is because fossils cannot accurately predict the size of an animal. Other parts of the animal's physiology, like the muscles, organs, and other soft tissues, would also have to be put into consideration. Also, the absence of a skull makes it hard to figure out what must have consumed to maintain its enormous size. Hopefully, one day scientists will find a complete skeleton of the animal, and we could finally witness this mighty freak of nature in all of its glory. Number 15. The deepest image of the universe. Have you ever imagined traveling into the depths of the universe and seeing what life is like millions of light years away? Sounds like a fever dream, but what if that was possible? Enter the James Webb Telescope, the most advanced telescope ever built, capable of detecting objects that are 100 fainter than other telescopes could see. In 2022, astronomers fired up the telescope and looked deep into the universe. This is what they saw. This image, which looked like a couple of shiny dots on a black background, is now the deepest image of the universe ever captured. They called it Webb's first space field. It is also the most detailed image of the universe ever captured, and it's inspiring questions we've never thought of asking. When the picture was released, it created such a huge buzz online that everyone couldn't stop talking about it. It's a mind-bending photograph that transports us million years into the past, to the time when our universe was still in its cradle. It takes us back to a time when the galaxies had just begun to form and light flickered from the very first stars. These starlights took roughly 13.3 billion years to travel to us, before arriving at the James Webb Telescope. And since our universe is just about 13.8 billion years, this means we're peering back into the very beginning of our universe. Now imagine what we could do with an even bigger and more powerful telescope. Number 14. Synthetic human embryo. This next one might just be the most incredible thing you've ever seen. In 2023, a joint team of scientists from the United States and the United Kingdom put their geniuses together to create the first ever synthetic replica of the human embryo from stem cells. What's even more remarkable is that they were able to achieve this without eggs or sperm. According to Professor Magdalena Zernicka-Getz, a professor of biology and biological engineering at the California Institute of Technology and the University of Cambridge, England, these cells were coaxed to develop into 3 distinct tissue layers. However, it should be noted that the embryo does not have the features of a typical human embryo. This means that it doesn't possess a beating heart or a working brain. The researcher also stated that while the synthetic embryo looks like a human embryo, it is just a model, which is still quite exciting considering the numerous doors the discovery has opened. Imagine what medical experts could achieve with this kind of technology. We could cure diseases, expand our life expectancy, and even reverse the aging process. The possibilities are endless. While this discovery is still in the infancy stage, it is indicative that we are walking into a new era in the field of medical science. Could we be growing humans in labs in the near future? We'll have to wait and see. Number 13. Silphion, the miracle plant. 2,000 years ago, ancient civilizations enjoyed the powerful remedial effect of a plant known as Silphion. The plant thrived and gained massive popularity in these ancient empires, from the Greeks to the Romans and even the Egyptians. But then, 2,000 years ago, it mysteriously disappeared. That was until 2021, when a Turkish professor by the name of Mammoth rediscovered this miracle plant on Mount Hasan in Turkey. The plant, which features yellow flowers attached to a thick stalk, was used in ancient times for medicinal purposes. Ancient physicians would crush, roast, boil, and sauté this Silphion to cure all manner of ailments, and it was even used as a contraceptive at the time. But our ancient ancestors loved this plant so much, they ate it into extinction. According to ancient texts, the last stalk of Silphion was handed to the Roman Emperor Nero in the 1st century AD, and since then, it had vanished from our radar, until Professor Miski started drawing comparisons between this ancient plant and the Ferula druidiana that grew on this Turkish mountain. This was when he discovered that it was exactly the same plant. Although it was found hundreds of miles from where it originated, Professor Miski stated that the site where the plant was found used to be home to ancient Greeks thousands of years ago. Historians and botanistats have long searched for this miracle plant, and maybe now our generation can enjoy the medicinal benefits of the ancient plant. Number 12. The world's largest freshwater fish. A massive 661-pound stingray was discovered in Cambodia on November 14, 2023, and it has clinched the title of the largest freshwater fish ever recorded. Imagine a fish the size of 3 baby elephants. It was such a spectacle to behold. Prior to this discovery, the spot was held by a 646-pound catfish caught in Thailand. But after nearly 2 decades, a new king sits on the throne. Unlike the catfish, which was killed and sold for meat back in 2005, this behemoth stingray was instead fitted with an acoustic receiver and released back into the ocean. This way, researchers will be able to track its movement across the ocean so we can learn more about its species. Unfortunately, a Guinness World Record isn't the only thing this massive stingray and the preceding catfish have in common. Just like the catfish, this stingray population has also suffered immensely from overfishing, dam building, pollution, invasive species, and of course, climate change. Thanks to this discovery, though, authorities are intensifying their efforts to conserve the aquatic ecosystem that these stingrays call home, so we can preserve them for much longer. Number 11. Resurrection. Death is one of the saddest realities of life. In spite of the extensive research aimed at uncovering the secrets of immortality, it remains a disease without a cure. But what if we could reverse death? What if we could bring dead people or things or plants back to life? And no, We're not talking about cloning. We're talking actually reviving a dead organism. While this may sound like the premise of a creepy sci-fi movie, it may be more real than you can imagine. In 2023, a group of scientists made what could be a contender for discovery of the century after they successfully resurrected the cells and organs of a dead pig. First, the test animal was put under anesthesia. Then it was euthanized and left for an hour. Then, using a special machine known as OrganX, which pumps a mixture of blood and some fluid-borne nutrients around the body, the team was able to revive all the major cells and organs that had previously shut down. Not only did these organs come back to life, but they also began showing signs of cell repair. This new discovery had the potential to change medical science forever. However, it has evoked mixed reactions. While there are those who believe that such a procedure could help preserve organs for transplant, it also raises ethical questions about the definition and meaning of death. Could we, by any chance, be developing a technology that would eradicate death, or is this an uphill climb against the very laws of nature? The questions are endless. Number 10. Do spiders dream? Since the dawn of time, humans have searched long and hard for the answer to one pressing question. Can spiders dream? To find the answers, Daniela Robler, an ecologist at the University of Constance, traveled to the remote Brazilian Amazon rainforest to study these amazing arachnids. But then the pandemic came knocking, and Daniela had to resort to studying the family of spiders that lived on a path of scrubby grass near her home in Trier, Germany. Her findings were nothing short of astounding. By studying the behavioral pattern of the field's tiny jumping spiders, the scientists discovered that as soon as night fell, these spiders would retire to their little silken pouches known as retreats. There they would remain immobile, dangling upside down from a single strand and twitching like dogs and cats do when they dream. Before long, she had set up a little nursery in her lab for the baby spiders so she could observe their nightly activities. Her findings, which she published on August 8, 2022, postulated that jumping spiders experience a sleep-like state with rapid eye movements similar to the pattern observed in dreaming humans. They also twitch their muscles and display other signs of REM-like sleep. This discovery could alter everything we've ever believed about spiders, other insects, and even other animals. We can only wonder what they're dreaming about. Number 9. World's smallest snail species. Over 43,000 snail species currently exist in the wild, from rivers to ponds to forest floors. But then, in early 2022, scientists found 2 new ones, one in Vietnam and the other in Laos. But these weren't your regular snails. Imagine a snail smaller than a grain of sand. These new snail species were so tiny, they instantly claimed the title of the world's smallest snails. According to Adrian Jochum, the researcher with the National History Museum in Switzerland who discovered one of the new species, the shell measures just about 0.6 millimeters in diameter, and it was covered with pointy projections, along with a series of mud-like beads. She called it Angustopila samion, which is derived from the Greek word for grain of sand. The second species was named Angustopila coprologos and was found in a limestone gorge in northern Laos. However, it was just slightly bigger than the first one, so it became the second smallest snail ever found. Number 8. First image of a black hole. At the center of our galaxy, there exists a massive object known as Sagittarius A star. For many years, scientists have observed stars orbiting something seemingly invisible. But in 2022, we finally got a good look at what exactly sits at the center of the Milky Way. Thanks to the collaborative efforts of astronomers and researchers from far and wide, working under the collective umbrella of the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration, we were finally able to feast our eyes on one of the most mysterious features of the universe, a black hole. However, we can't exactly see the black hole Sagittarius A star, which by the way is 4 million times bigger than our sun, because it is completely dark. But the glowing gas around it reveals the central region known as the shadow and the bright ring-like structure which surrounds it. Because Sagittarius A star is about 27,000 light-years away from us, it appears to have about the same size in the sky as a donut on the moon. To get this image, though, it took the efforts of over 300 researchers from 80 institutes around the world, and it has been deemed one of the most important discoveries made in recent times. Number 7. The mission to save the world. In September 2022, NASA embarked on one of its most important missions, a mission that could one day save our world. As a test scenario to prepare for the worst possible cataclysmic event, the agency deliberately slammed a specially designed spacecraft into a massive asteroid named Dimorphos, so as to knock it slightly off course. The mission objective was to test and evaluate whether the strategy would protect the Earth in the event that an asteroid was headed our way. It worked, but not without leading to unintended consequences. You see, even though the rocket was able to steer the asteroid off course, it also launched a boulder from the surface of the space rock. And soon, smaller rocks were flying into space. This could eventually create some unanticipated problems, as they spread like shrapnel expanding from a hand grenade. But that aside, the success of the experiment proved that one day, when our world is faced with the looming danger of an asteroid strike, we can rest assured that we have the resources and strategies needed to handle the situation. Number 6. The Human Genome Project. 2001 was the first time that scientists were able to map the human genome, but the researchers knew it was neither complete nor completely accurate. But finally, in 2022, scientists were able to produce the most completely sequenced human genome to date, filling in the gaps of the previous model and correcting the mistakes. This is the first time anyone has ever made a complete genome of any mammalian species, and it's nothing short of astounding. But what exactly is the human genome? To put it simply, the human genome is the entire set of DNA instructions found in a human cell. It includes all of the 3 billion pairs of deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA, which makes up the entire set of chromosomes in a human. It is responsible for encoding all the 20,000 to 25,000 genes of the human organism, as well as the non-coding regions of the DNA. So why was this discovery so important? Well, it basically provides scientists with the foundation for understanding the course of genetic diseases and could alter the landscape of medical science as we know it. Before we unveil more recent discoveries, here's our subscribers' pick for today. Check out this incredible carving found in a remote mountainous region, which looks like a human hand reaching for the ground. This fascinating piece of ancient art was discovered by a group of archaeologists surveying the area, and has generated quite a buzz since it was found. The level of artistic excellence employed in the production of such a spectacle is pretty impressive. However, we can't help but wonder how ancient humans were able to craft such an incredible piece of art without any modern tools. How did you think they did it? Let us know in the comments. Now let's get back to the video. Number 5. Fossils from the day the dinosaurs died. On a bright and sunny day some 66 million years ago, the skies over our planet lit up as a fiery asteroid dropped from the skies like a nuclear bomb, ultimately wiping out almost every creature on Earth, including the dinosaurs. Now scientists have discovered fossilized remains of one of the dinosaurs that lost their lives that very day. It was a team of paleontologists who found the severed leg of a Thescelosaurus while exploring the Tanis fossil site in North Dakota. The site itself was discovered in 2008, and since then it has continued to provide new revelations into the events that took place in the first few hours after the asteroid hit the Earth. But that's not all. The team of researchers also found what they believed to be a fragment from that very asteroid that took the dinosaurs out. This new discovery is the first physical evidence that the dinosaurs were truly wiped out by the cataclysmic Chicxulub event. Number 4. Spanish Shipwreck. Back in 1963, a ship carrying silk and beeswax from the Philippines and headed to Mexico mysteriously vanished. And for the next 300 years, many have tried to solve the mystery behind its disappearance. The search finally got a breakthrough in June 2022, after archaeologists finally found timbers from the wreckage in the sea caves near Manzanita, Oregon. This incredibly rare hull was recovered during a risky emergency recovery mission, which involved the combined efforts of law enforcement personnel and search and rescue teams from multiple states and agencies. For 15 years, a team tagged the Maritime Archaeology Society has been on the lookout for this ancient shipwreck, and now their search seems to have paid off. The ship, which was named Santo Cristo de Burgos, was said to have been carrying several merchandise, including costly Chinese silk, porcelain, and blocks of beeswax to be used in making candles. Although no one can still accurately describe how the ship sank, this new discovery seems to be a step in the right direction. Number 3. Lab-grown brain cells playing video games. In other news, a dish of living brain cells has learnt to play the 1970 video game Pong. As strange as it may seem, this experiment was put together by a team of scientists who wanted to study the brain's learning processes as a way to make computers more intelligent than they already are. This Pong experiment was a key question about whether a network of brain cells can learn to change its behavior. And to demystify this mystery, the scientists employed the use of a system known as dish brain. A layer of living neurons were grown on a special silicon chip, and the chip was linked to a computer, which detected electrical signals produced by the neurons and also delivered a stream of signals as well. The cells were then connected to the game, and surprisingly, it was able to play the game successfully by generating patterns of electrical activity that would maneuver the paddle to where the ball was. Although the cells never got that good at Pong, the experiment proved to be the next step in making machines more human. Number 2. AI Thought Translator. The human mind is a really fascinating place where thoughts and emotions collide. But what if we could translate those thoughts into actual words? Everybody has a voice in their head, but what if that voice could actually speak out? Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, except it isn't. In 2023, researchers from the University of Texas unveiled their new invention, an artificial intelligence model known as DeWave, which can translate your thoughts into words. Although the science behind it may be quite complicated and maybe even controversial, the process has been described as non-invasive, and most importantly, it works. Number 1. Ancient artwork. In April 2016, the terrorist group ISIS launched an attack on the historic Mashki Gate at the ancient site of Nineveh, near Mosul, Iraq. The campaign was part of a coordinated attack by the armed group targeted at pre-Islamic sites across the region. Then, in 2022, a joint team consisting of Iraqi and American archaeologists working on the gate's restoration uncovered a remarkable artwork carved in a stone panel. It was dated to be over 2,600 years old. According to historians, the artwork was likely repurposed for the palace of the Assyrian king Sennacherib, for later use as part of the construction material for the palace gate. Following the attack on the site, the artwork saw the light of day once again, and it remains the first major discovery of any kind in Iraq since the 1800s. Since its discovery, archaeological interest in the nation has increased, and researchers are positive that soon they will uncover even more astounding artifacts. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.